Okay, bow. We're back. Episode 2 of the Chinksey Sports Presents, the Premier League show. I thought I thought I'll do this episode on the Saturday, considering that there's no lunchtime fixture this week. I let all the games marinate. Yeah, obviously yesterday there was a game. I'll speak about that later on in the show. But I want to start with the first game of last week, which was the first game of the Premier League season. And that was at Turf Moor, with Man City dishing out a 3-0 defeat to Burnley. Erling Haaland got himself a brace in that game. His second goal, smashed it top corner. However, I just want to talk about the positives that I thought Burnley showed. They showed me enough to think that they're going to have a half decent season. I expect them to stay up. Probably hopeful of maybe upper lower half of the table. So probably talking, they will be in the bottom half of the table, but I'm probably talking 15th, 14th, maybe even 13th. But I'm sure Vincent Company will snap your hand off for survival at this stage. So 17th and above, he'll take that. However, Man City, they gave up a few chances in that game. They still won 3-0 away from home. So, and at the end of the day, at this stage of the season, it's about picking up points. Performances are secondary at this stage. However, Kevin De Bruyne is out for 4 months, which is a major blow to them. But then that provides it provides opportunity for players like Phil Foden, like Cole Palmer, and they're also linked with Lucas Paqueta from West Ham for big money. So it'll be interesting to see if they get Paqueta, what they do with Phil Foden, whether he's back on the wing, because it looked like he's been drafted into the centre of midfield. So anyway, moving on, I want to speak about the Arsenal Forest game. That game was a lunchtime kickoff. It was a bit of a debacle, to be honest, in terms of off the pitch, where Arsenal have switched up their system in terms of getting tickets. I'm actually a member as well. I wasn't there on that day, but I was tuned in. So I was wondering, why wasn't the match on? It got delayed by half an hour, just to ensure that the fans could get in, because no fans were able to get into the stadium for a while, and all the fans were outside. It was a madman. It was a madness, bro. But eventually the fans came in, settled down. We dominated the first half, managed to get ourselves 2 goals ahead. It's good to see Nketiah start and get a good goal. And obviously Saka scored a fantastic goal. I feel like he has scored better goals, because I've heard a few people say it's that was a goal of the season contender. While it was a good goal, that won't be winning goal of the season. But one thing I want to mention is the fact that Bukayo Saka is now becoming a major threat when he comes inside, because it's like he's striking the ball so well. More often than not, it's hitting the back of the net, whether it's the top corner or the bottom corner. He's really becoming a sharpshooter, just like Iron Robin was um, early in his career for the likes of Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich, and Holland as well. But then also Lionel Messi, when he used to play on a wing, he used to cut in, kind of shift the ball onto his left foot really quickly, get the right back off balance, and then before you know it, it's in the back of the net. So it'll be good to see him go on the outside as well, because obviously teams will be showing Saka inside a lot, and they'll probably be doubling up on him. But if they double up on Saka, then you could just switch it over to Martinelli, who can just literally go on the outside and do things like he did for that like he did for the Nketiah goal, where he showed a bit of trickery and passed to Nketiah for him to slot in the opener of the game. At the end, we're hanging on, kind of thing. Like, that game was more of a 4-5-0 kind of game than a 2-1. But at the end of the day, like I said, for that they didn't win the game. They drew, and they was at home. I feel like Liverpool started well, That Salah goal, which was ruled offside, probably was a turning point in that game. I feel like from that point onwards, Chelsea gained in confidence and took the game away from Liverpool, really, performance wise, and were unfortunate not to pick up 3 points. Liverpool, I'm sure, would have taken a point. Probably not before the game, but based on how the game went, I'm sure they would have definitely taken a point. Um, it's interesting though that a couple top players have both rejected Liverpool for Chelsea in the last week or so, with Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia both opting to join Chelsea as opposed to Liverpool, which is really interesting because Chelsea aren't even in Europe this season, whereas Liverpool are in the Europa League and have so much history behind them. So that just shows that the project for Chelsea with the young players and the new kind of direction the club's going in with Mauricio Pochettino, the players are obviously gravitating towards. Liverpool have now bought, they'll get a top younger player in because that signing's very underwhelming. Plus, his age isn't what you'd want. I mean, people like Caicedo and Lavia, they're in the early 20s. You think Lavia's even 19. So there's scope for improvement, there's scope for development there. Whereas Endo, I'm sure you'll probably get 2 or 3 years max from him, similar to Casemiro last season. And you can see Casemiro's performances haven't been the best of recent. And on that subject, it'll be a good to segue into the Man United against Wolves game, where Wolves were all over United in that game, but somehow managed to lose. That doesn't really surprise me because Manchester United are known for doing this. They're like the masters of nicking games that they don't deserve to win. I've been on the other end of that many times with Arsenal, especially last season, where we literally controlled the whole game. We should have won that game, and it was like we let it slip and we lost 3-1 at Old Trafford. So Man United can do that to you. But Wolves would probably feel, hard done by not getting something out of that game with how they played. Nunez was outstanding. Drew a lot of saves. Was just running through that United midfield at will. Him and Mario Lemina. But yeah, Man United have a knack for doing this, just hanging in there and just nicking it at the end. And I thought they would do that, to be fair. To be honest, not many people will realise, but this was kind of a similar story last season, I'm pretty sure, against Wolves, where Wolves were the better team and still lost. And I feel like that's why previous Wolves managers have lost their jobs, because they just haven't had that striker to finish the moves. They're playing people like Sarabia as a striker when he's a winger. But no, Wolves, a lot of people are tipping them to go down, but if they carry on playing like this, they should be fine. The next game I want to talk about is the Newcastle v Aston Villa fixture. For me, Newcastle were the team of the opening day and deserved their top spot going into week 2. Their squad's now coming together. They're getting a bit of depth with the likes of Livramento, Harvey Barnes. Tonali goes straight into their side alongside Bruno Guimaraes, and probably you can either put Joe Linton in there or what's his name? I can see his face as well. Former Arsenal centre midfielder Joe Willock. So yeah, there's a bit of competition for places now as well. They obviously have a solid defense. People like Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman. They're looking solid there, and then obviously in goal they've got what's his name? Gone blank, bruv. You know when I can see the player, but the England goalkeeper. What's his name, bruv? I can see his face, but he used to play for Burnley. Newcastle goalkeeper. What's his name, bruv? Yeah. But now they've got a solid side now. They've got Nick Pope. They've got a really solid side and they're looking really good. Whether that's enough for them to be able to beat or get something Man City is another thing. But anyway, we'll talk about that after. No, a lot of people were tipping Aston Villa to do well this season, but getting beat 5-1 at St James's Park isn't a great start considering you've drafted in players like Pau Torres, Yuri Tillemans, Diaby, and Zaniolo. You're in the Europa Conference League and you're looking at heavy favourites for that, just as West Ham was last season, but everyone's going on about how they won it. They really should have won it. And just like Aston Villa should win it this season because Juventus have been disqualified from that competition. So anyway, Newcastle managed to get off to a fantastic start. Isak's looking electric. He's a mercurial maverick, fantastic young player, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of goals this season. And I'll be interested to see if he does well in the Champions League for Newcastle, and if they can get out the group stages and probably into the last 16. That's probably what they should be aiming for. Next up is Brentford v Spurs. Spurs have switched up their style this season, which is very important because the last couple of years they've been trying to play defensive counter-attacking football, three at the back, people like Conte and Mourinho. Not really great football. Spurs are usually supposed to be exciting, wing play, playing with pace, and I'm sure Postecoglou is going to bring that back. You're going to see a lot of goals for and against Tottenham, and we've seen already against Brentford that this new Spurs is going to be a good watch. Obviously, Heung-min Son has been given the captaincy with Maddison and Romero, the vice captains. Maddison's already got himself a couple assists, and I'm sure he will be looking to step up following Harry Kane's move to Bayern Munich. The same with Son as well. You expect people like him, Richarlison, Kulusevski, Maddison to step up and fill the void left by Harry Kane. I just want to mention though, I looked at the characters that Tottenham have in their squad, and you would have thought that Eric Dyer should be the captain. And if you're not going to give him the captaincy or at least vice captaincy, then just let him go, because what are you doing with someone like that in and around the squad when you're not going to play him? If you don't want to play him, just sell him and move on. Clearly, he's not part of the manager's plans, so then just let him go. Bring in some money for him. Also, I want to mention Brentford, obviously without their talisman and their top goalkeeper who's just joined Arsenal, David Raya, and without Ivan Toney. I expect Johan Wieser to come in for teams. They're going to cause a lot. I thought it would be a 3-0. I didn't see Luton scoring, but it just goes to show that Luton's lack of Premier League experience and quality was exposed. So obviously Brighton, you'd expect to carve them open. They're going to carve a lot of teams open, a lot of top teams open. It'll be interesting to see how they do in Europe, combining Europe with the Premier League to see if they can actually build on what they did last season, considering they've sold quite a few top players, Caicedo and McAllister. But yeah, I mean, Luton didn't help themselves. I think it was Peli Rodok Panzu giving away an easy goal. He's got to learn from that. It can't be given away. It's not the Championship. You can't be giving away goals like that, especially against a side like Brighton who'll create chances for fun. But I think it's important Luton stay in games and they don't get beat bad every week, 3s and 4s and 5s. Because obviously it's important for confidence and goal difference, most importantly. It's just also a shame that their home game against Burnley was postponed, because I'm sure they would have looked at that as an opportunity to get some points on the board. Instead, they're going to have to open the season with a few away games, and I'm sure they would not want to lose all them games. They want to get a couple points on the board going into when Kenilworth Road is reopened. Bournemouth v West Ham. Ended in a draw, a score draw, 1-1 at that. I'm sure there's a few issues behind the scenes at West Ham. Obviously, the Declan Rice money, where's it going? Lucas Paqueta's looking like he's unsettled with Man City in for him. David Moyes, obviously, is he getting the money from the board? It all's not rosy at West Ham, whereas with Bournemouth, they got a new manager, and I'm sure they're going to be looking to stay up. I'm sure that Dominic Solanke is going to get himself a few goals this season as well. But no, I've got Bournemouth to go down, to be honest with you. I feel like they lack quality, and yeah, I just feel they're gonna struggle this season. But I could be wrong. Everton v Fulham, not the greatest game in the world, but yeah, Everton haven't really made that many signings. Their squad does lack quality. However, Sean Dyche will have his side well organised and hard to beat. And I think you're going to see a lot of Everton's fixtures be 0-0, 1-0 either way, 2-1, that kind of thing. We've got Everton coming up in a few weeks' time. Everton will not want to go down, that's for sure, because next season they move into their new ground. Whereas on the other hand, Fulham have got an aging yet experienced Premier League squad. They have made a good signing in Calvin Bassey from Ajax. And the good thing about that is he can play as a left back and a centre back. Because I've looked at Fulham's squad. They have Anthony Robertson, who is already a left back. And they've got Kevin Babu, who's a left back. So they've got a few left backs there. They might want to sell one of them because that's too many left backs. However, they probably use Bassey as a centre half. And he's also one for the future. He did well at Rangers. He's already got Champions League experience from last season. So I'm sure he'll enhance the squad. Sheffield United against Crystal Palace. Ended in a Crystal Palace victory. I'm sure Palace would have taken that before the game. It was only 1-0. Obviously, it was the first game post Wilfred Zaha. Good victory for them. Hard fought victory. Bramall Lane isn't an easy place to go at the best of times, let alone on the opening day of the season. So they did well to get themselves a clean sheet. Mark Guehi looks like he's going to be out for a while, which is good news for Arsenal because him alongside Anderson, Olise, Eze, Doucouré, Mitchell, that's a good basis of a good squad, and I'm sure Palace would expect to see them bang in the middle of the table, probably 10th, 11th, 12th, where they usually are. They're just one of the few sides that will definitely not go down, but they definitely won't be in Europe. They're not good enough to be in Europe. Probably be 9th at best, 13th at worst, and they're too good to be relegated because there's a lot of sides. There's at least 6, 7, 8 sides that are worse than Palace. However, with a few signings, you never know. Obviously, Michael Olise has just signed a new 4-year deal. He has. It looked like he was going to join Chelsea, but for some reason he was convinced otherwise. Obviously, I'm sure he's had improved terms. He's got a better contract, and he's probably obviously been assured that he will be the new face of the club along with Eze in replacing Zaha. So I'm also looking forward to Tyreek Mitchell against Saka. I think that's going to be a fantastic battle on Monday, and that's going to go a long way to deciding if Palace can get something out of that game. But yeah, good start for Crystal Palace. Right, that is the roundup for week 1. I want to go into week 2 and my predictions for the fixtures ahead for this week. So obviously Nottingham Forest have already beaten Sheffield United. Sheffield United did have a big opportunity to win that game with Traore. But no, for me, my observations on Nottingham Forest are that they have a a threatening front four with the likes of Awoni, Morgan Gibbs White, Elanga and Brennan Johnson. They all have a good combination of skill and pace. And I feel like that front four is gonna get them a lot of goals and consequently get them a lot of wins, especially at home. And I'm sure the City ground will be a fortress once again, and they've got themselves off to a good start with a victory at home. Liverpool v Bournemouth at 3 o'clock today. Ended 9-0 last year. Scott Parker consequently lost his job after that fixture. But then again, in the other match at Bournemouth, Bournemouth managed to beat Liverpool 1-0, which was crazy. I'm sure a lot of people would have thought Liverpool was gonna wipe the floor with them once again. But today, I'm gonna go for a Liverpool 3-0 win to kickstart their season. I feel like Mo Salah is gonna get on the score sheet. Probably Cody Gakpo will manage to get himself on the score sheet as well. Trent Alexander probably get himself an assist or so. But yeah, 3-0 Liverpool for me. Luton Burnley has been postponed because of Luton's stadium issues. So that game is postponed. The next one will be Wolves v Brighton. Will be an interesting game because both teams played well on the opening day of the season, although had different results. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Brighton win. I just feel that Brighton are going to have too much quality for Wolves, and they'll probably carve them open and get a couple goals. So I'm going 2-0 Brighton. Fulham v Brentford, the West London derby. I feel like they're pretty much well matched. They'll be around the same kind of area in the table like they were last season. They were the two teams that overperformed massively last season. I think they both got top 10. However, I feel like they'll probably be in the bottom half, but upper bottom half, maybe about 12th, 13th, 14th between them. I'm going to go for 2-2 draw. So that will be Brentford's second 2-2 draw in a row. And Fulham probably will start the season before their trip to the Emirates next week with 4 points, I think. Tottenham v United is probably the game of the day, arguably. I just feel with Tottenham's new style and Man United's kind of bad start to the season, despite their win, I feel I'm gonna go for a Tottenham win, and I hope it's a Tottenham win because I want United to lose. I always want United to lose. But yeah, this is pretty much the only time I not support Spurs, but the only time I would want Spurs to win is when they play United. But no, just on the basis of how Spurs are setting up now, I think they're gonna cause United a lot of problems and they're gonna get quite a few goals in this. So I'm gonna go 3-1 to Spurs. Man City v Newcastle is gonna be a very intriguing and interesting game. It could easily be a draw. I don't think Newcastle will win this at the Etihad, but it was a draw last season. However, I'm gonna go for a hard-fought victory to Man City, and I want to go 2-1 to City. Aston Villa against Everton. Both teams lost on their opening day, and both teams will be looking to bounce back. But I feel like Villa need this more, especially with the money that they spent, which has led to a lot of expectations of top 10 stroke Europe. However, despite the fact that Everton have Sean Dyche and he'll set them up very well and tight and defensively rigid, I think Villa will squeeze out a 2-1 win, especially as they're home. West Ham v Chelsea is going to be a very, very tough game. I don't think it's going to have many goals in. However, I feel like both sides are kind of... They got like contrasting vibes about them right now. So I feel like West Ham is kind of, it's a bit gloomy over there. They've lost Declan Rice. David Moyes doesn't seem happy. Looks like they're going to lose Paqueta there. Whereas Chelsea, they got a young, hungry squad brimming with youthful exuberance. And yeah, bringing in Caicedo and Lavia. I don't think both will start. I reckon Caicedo will start alongside Fernandes and probably Gallagher. There's a lot of energy in that midfield, and I'm expecting Chelsea to win this 1 or 2-0. I'm gonna go for 2-0 to Chelsea at Upton Park, at the Olympic Stadium. Last but not least, Crystal Palace against Arsenal on Monday evening. Obviously, Crystal Palace will be buoyed by the fact that Michael Elise has committed to the club for another 4 years, albeit the fact that he is injured and will miss that game. The squad will just be, will be rocking. The stadium will be rocking. Obviously, under the lights at Selhurst Park, there's not many stadiums that can generate an atmosphere and a vibe that can rival Crystal Palace. So it should be a tough game. It's one that we're going to want to shut the fans up with an early goal in that game. However, I feel like we're in the market for a replacement for Jurriën Timber following his lengthy injury from an ACL. So Zinchenko looks like he's back from injury. I don't think he's going to be thrown into that game, though. I think that's one for Fulham. Maybe he'll come off the bench, but I think it's between Kieran Tierney and Tomiyasu. Obviously, I think Gabriel Magalhaes will come into the side alongside William Saliba, with Ben White keeping his place as a right back. Goalkeeping situation is now a question. It's now a doubt whether Ramsdale will start, but I think he will for the time being. I think he will start that game on Monday. And I also think Kai Havertz will come out the side, and Nketiah will keep his place. Obviously, one to watch for Crystal Palace is Eberechi Eze. While he will be a threat, I think that we'll be able to deal with him to an extent, and I think we're gonna win that game 2-1. So that was a quick one, quick ting. The next episode will be next week. Peace.